Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. I have had a request from some of my fellow Gaslands players to create some terrain for the game. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Gaslands, I'll put a link right here to one of my previous videos. It's basically a car combat game. Uses, Hot Wheels, Matchbox type. You glue weapons on it. You can make homemade weapons or buy them from other model kits. And you basically, the game allows you to take these onto a field and fight other players, and it's really, really fun. Just trust me, I love this game. It does require some terrain. You don't want to just be playing on a flat piece of board. So, a lot of players have been coming up with like obstacles, cones, walls, that kind of thing. And I do have some custom terrain that I'm working on for Gaslands. But in the meantime, I don't have anything that's non-custom right now, but I do want to show you something that you can buy. Now, it does require access to a 3D printer, so if you don't have access to a 3D printer, do find a friend who has one, or you can use a company like Shapeways to print them for you. And they're pretty reasonably priced. You're going to be printing out items like this, okay, small items. These are called Necroplex. And I have reviewed Necroplex in the past, that video right there. Necroplex is basically a bunch of STL files you download, you print, and it makes this futuristic terrain. All right. During the Kickstarter, they had some stretch goals, and one of them really caught my eye. It was stretch goals to create parts that you could use with aluminum cans from soft drinks. And so basically you print the parts out. This is a base, for example. And then you take an aluminum can and you glue it to the base, and then there's add-ons. And let me just show you one here that's not painted yet. This one right here is like a horizontal tank. It sits like this. You can see it's got a back piece, a shell, these plastic pieces that go around the can, and then there's a hatch I printed to glue into the front part there. And when it's painted, it's going to look like a very large, oversized fuel depot of some sort. And there are a lot of variations. This one has like a little handle. There's another part has like a duct fan. Another one has a generator. There's a whole bunch of them. And then there's larger pieces that you glue over the cap, and they also come in a variety of parts. And then finally, the bases and some of the rings that go around the can. Some of them are simple, like this one, and then others have notches so that they can attach to other Necroplex pieces. If you have a bigger idea for a much larger terrain with some bases and things like that, the Necroplex parts all snap together, sort of. But anyway, here's an example of a ring that would go around the can, and then these rings, okay, you'd have two of them. They're connected by these small struts that they actually snap on to little pins here that you can see, and holds it all together. Of course, you want to glue it to the can. This one right here is unpainted, obviously. So let me take you to the tabletop and show you one that I've painted up and is ready to go for a game of Gaslands. All right, what I have here in front of me are just a handful of the pieces that you can choose from. There are variations, and I'll show you what those are. But basically, in a nutshell, you can choose to print out a base. This right here is a very fancy one. They have different names. I don't remember what this one's called. But the idea is that you have an empty aluminum can, and you glue it down on the base, like so. This is for a vertically mounted can. Next, you have various rings. There's rings with a support here, and these are actually designed to do a horizontal or mounted can like this. Here is an example of the ring, and I'm going to take one of these off. These are two rings, and they have these little tabs here. And you print out these things called, I think these are called basic struts. And they just snap in place, or you can glue them in place. And you create this shell that slides down over the can, okay, like so. And then on the top of the can, you can print out things like, here's a hatch, okay? See how it has a ring on the inside to fit the lip here? This one is the hatch, and this one right here, I believe, is called the generator. It has like a it looks like a, you know, generator turbine type thing in. And you glue this on top, or this one on top, for example. And what you end up with is this nice little, you know, I guess this would be like maybe a fuel depot of some sort, or storage container. In just a minute, I'm going to take this, glue it all together, and go out and prime it, and then start shading it and doing some weathering on it to make it look more, you know, useful for the actual terrain. But before I do that, let me do the horizontal one. Let me show you that one. On this one, you insert these two rings, like so, okay? The spacing between them is determined by these struts, if you want to use the struts. You're not required to. You can just glue the rings on if you want, but for example, I'm just going to put one on there. The flat here makes the can rest like a horizontal tanker or what have you. But what I did was I printed out, this is another type of piece right here. You'll notice it's a little smaller than the one that goes on that covers the total cap. This piece is designed to be glued on the opposite end of the aluminum can, and it fits perfectly right down in there. Look at that. So with this one, I could make some sort of, you know, horizontally mounted tank. They also have different, these pieces come in different themes, like there is a generator. I think there's some piping and other stuff like that. So there's about 2 or 3 variations for each piece that goes on the ends. And then these rings, they also have variations on that. Some of them allow you to connect it to additional cans. So you could have a silo of a whole bunch of these connected. But I just printed out the single use ones. And I'm pretty pleased with it. I printed out most of these at the highest resolution, and they look really, really good. The detailing of the hinge and the crank and all this, the handle, this is going to look really good when it's after it's black bombed and then weathered and given some detail painting. So let me get to that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this all together and then take it outside and get it painted. And that's it. That is how to create these, you know, fuel depot type things out of aluminum cans using these 3D printed plastic parts from Necroplex. I'll put the company's website in the description below. It probably won't be going on forever, but right now there is a sale. Normally the parts pack for the can pieces, and it's like 20 pieces or more, is normally $14. I think right now it's about $7 or $8. So if you have access to a 3D printer, you can grab those pretty cheaply and start printing the parts and using them with aluminum cans to create stuff like this. This is just one. This is the vertical version. The base is a little more complicated than the standard base here. As you can see, it's got a lot of tubing and vents and things like that on it. I painted the can this aqua blue, gave the entire structure a painting of this metallic zinc, And then I use bronze for little bits of detail, such as the handle and things like that. But it looks really good. I'm pretty pleased with it. And if I can make about 6 or 7 more of these, they'll make nice bits of scatter terrain to put out on a game for Gaslands. So like I said, I do have some custom terrain that I'm working on for Gaslands, but this is not my product. This is Necroplex, plastic printed, pieces that you 3D print in plastic and then glue to an aluminum can to create these structures. Now, Necroplex also has pieces to create, catwalks and turrets and all kinds of craziness. So definitely check out their website and see what they have to offer. I backed the Kickstarter, so I got basically all their files, but they are available. Even if you missed that Kickstarter, they are available on the website, or most of them. I think there might have been some exclusive ones, but most of them are available on the website. So check them out if you want to create some terrain similar to that. Anyway, this is DM Jim. Thanks for joining me in this episode, and I will see you in the next one.